In 1582, residents in a village in Silesia complained of visitations from a bad breath vampire named Canisius.
A bad breath vampire? So they're complaining about visitations of a bad breath vampire? Like, what does that even mean? Like, I need more context. Like, first of all, how did they know he was a vampire? And also, like, that's what they're complaining about, his bad breath. They're not complaining that he's, like, eating animals or murdering people in the woods. Like, they're like, nah, this motherfucker got bad breath, bruh. Like, we need to put a strike on this, bro. Like, for real, like, the boy don't brush his teeth. Like, you know, like, I don't know, logic. That, first of all, already off to a bad start. That shit don't make no sense.
Before joining the ranks of the undead, Johannes Canisius had been a respected citizen. In February 1582, Canisius was fatally injured after being kicked by one of his horses.
That's a fucked up way to go. You get kicked by your horse? I would be so fucking pissed. You're just like lying there paralyzed, like your body, you're probably like twitching out, like you're probably still a little conscious maybe, hopefully. And you're just like, I can't believe this is what the fuck is gonna get me. My fucking piece of shit horse.
Before expiring, Canisius lingered for several days.
He was either laying there for several days, like paralyzed, or he was like, had some function. Maybe he was crawling, maybe he was walking, I don't know.
Complaining of ghostly visions and feeling like he was on fire.
Well, yeah, the motherfucker got kicked by a horse. Like, who knows what the fuck, you know, he's all, his nerve system is all fucked up, like your spine and everything, like your head, like, you know, visions aren't really like, I mean, come on. A dream is technically like a form of vision. I mean, how many times have we dreamed about like crazy shit, you know, like monsters, ghosts, ghouls, murderers, people breaking into our homes, you know, shit like that. Like, I mean, let's be real, you know?
According to one witness, at the time of his death, a black cat entered the room and jumped onto his bed. As befitted his civic status, Canisius...
They're like, oh, it was the black cat. It's the sign. I hope they have more evidence than him getting fucking kicked and bucked by a horse, than having visions and feeling like he was on fire, which means he was in pain, probably, is some form of pain. I mean, when I got my tattoo on my chest, I felt like I was on fire. So, I mean, you know, and then a black cat jumped on his chest. First of all, I have a black cat. I don't think they're bad luck. And my black cat jumps on my chest all the time.
This was entombed near the altar of his local church. But within a few days, several townspeople reported receiving visits from the dead man.
Following the logic, since we're missing context here, he could have still been alive after they considered him dead. They're like, yeah, he's dead. He's in the coffin or the tomb or whatever. And then he's like, yo, he wakes up. He's like, fuck, I'm not dead. He's like, let me get out of here.
All described a deathly stink and an exceedingly cold breath.
Well, yeah, I mean, he was like paralyzed. He's in that coffin for a few days probably. He's probably got shit and piss all over his body. So a deathly stink, I mean, that's pretty, you know, that's justified. Yeah, he's gonna smell like shit.
This smell was believed to be intolerable.
Like I said, of course, it's logical.
The people tolerated these nocturnal visits.
They tolerated these visits until late July. Maybe let me get a little more context. Let's see.
When they resolved to exhume Canisius' coffin and deal with his wandering corpse, they found that his skin was tender and florid. His joints were not stiff, but limber and movable.
Okay.
When they opened a vein in his leg, the blood sprang out fresh as in the living.
Okay.
After a brief hearing, Canisius' body was thrown onto a bonfire and burned.
Damn, hold up, what? Wait.
Limber. They found that his skin... resolved to exhume Canisius.
So they said they tolerated his visits into July. So like, what does that even mean? Like, was bro just like all fucked up, paralyzed, half dead? Like, hey, like, yo, John, I'm fucked up. Like, can you give me a blanket? Like, can I get a cup of water or something? Or was he like trying to like suck their blood in the middle of the night, you know? Because there's two completely different scenarios. So again, we're missing a lot of context here. And if you're, okay, to be fair, think about it, to tolerate someone visiting you. In order to tolerate it, that must mean like nothing negative enough is happening. Like maybe they're coming to your house at night, like, yo, like, can I get a cup of water? And you're like, bro, get the fuck out of here. Like I told you yesterday, I ain't got no fucking water for you. Get going before I fucking beat the fuck out of you. And then they like walk down the road. That's kind of tolerable. Like I would consider that tolerable because you didn't have to call the police. You didn't have to, I would say kill them in self-defense, right? You didn't have to do any of those things. You didn't have, yeah, I mean, so, I mean, that would be what tolerable would be. I would consider tolerable in my opinion. So, you know, like if someone's trying to suck your blood, that would be intolerable, right? You would go to the authorities, you would try to kill them, you would tell the neighbors, you would tell everybody, and then everybody would probably get after them that same day. So the fact that he was tolerable tells me that something like he needed help. Maybe he didn't need help, but maybe he was just like a pest. He was annoying people, but it doesn't seem like he was a threat. That's my main point. It did not seem like he was a threat if they considered him tolerable until July. You know what I'm saying?
Canisius' coffin and deal with his wandering corpse.
Okay, whatever.
They found that his skin was tender and florid.
Okay, okay.
His joints were not stiff but limber and movable.
Not stiff, nimble, and movable. Just like us, we got blood flowing, you know? Let me see.
When they opened a vein in his leg, the blood sprang out fresh as if they're living.
Okay, so sounds like he's just a human. Like it sounds like he's human.
After a brief hearing, Canisius' body was thrown onto a bonfire and burned.
As you can see, that's pretty much almost the end. I'm about to finish it. We got, what, like 5 seconds of this Canisius story. So far, he got bucked by his horse. Just to do a little, you know, summarize it. He got bucked by his horse. So if y'all don't know, motherfuckers could die from that. So, I mean, yeah, he was fucked up. He was lingering for a few days. Then he was buried. Then he got out of the tomb. They said he had a foul stench on him, which of course, if you were in the tomb for a few days, people thought you were dead, but you weren't. You're probably shitting and pissing on yourself, maybe throwing up on yourself, who knows? So you're gonna smell like shit. And even if you didn't do any of those things, like, I don't know if y'all have ever, like, in the military, like, you go to the field, like, I was in the military, you go to the field, and sometimes you can't shower for, like, weeks. You know what I'm saying? So when you can't shower, you smell horrid. You know, it's not a pleasant stench. You know what I'm saying? I'm sure everyone has experienced that. You know, even if you don't shower for 2 days, you start to smell, you know? Even for me, if I don't shower, I shower every day. So it's like if I miss a shower, then I'm going to be able to smell myself. And you feel all greasy and oily. It's fucking gross. So essentially, then he got out of the tomb. Then they said he was like visiting the villagers and it was tolerable apparently. And then they checked his body and they found that his joints were nimble, and they cut open one of his veins and started squirting out actual blood, just like a healthy human. So essentially, it sounds like he made a full recovery after that horse kick. They cut his vein open. He was bleeding. And then they, because he had nimble joints and he had good blood in him, because he was a human, they burned him in a bonfire. He didn't even kill anybody. Like, unless this guy, you know, he didn't really provide that much context, but not once in the Canisius story did it involve sucking somebody's blood or killing somebody. So if anything, this would be like a zombie story, first of all. And thirdly, I also, like, logically breaking it down, it sounds like he was neither. He was probably just a human.
Then hacked to pieces and crushed to ashes.
And then hacked to, that's great.
As might be expected, the spirit of Canisius ceased its nocturnal visits.
Like, what was he doing? Like, I need to know what the fuck Canisius was doing on these nocturnal visits. Like, was he for real just like, yo, can I get some water? Like, yo, can I have a bed for the night? Can I get a blanket? It's kind of chilly out here. Or was he just like knocking on the window, like staring at a motherfucker? You know, and then they're like, yo, get the fuck out of here, Canisius. And he just stands there and they like throw a rock through the window or some shit. Then he starts running. Like, I don't know. I'm curious, man. So Canisius, well, that shit, he didn't even kill anybody. How the fuck is he a vampire if he didn't suck no blood? Like, bruh, come on.